Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's part 3 of day 2, Shoji X female listener. Enjoy. Shoji hadn't been there when she had come and seen you. He also hadn't known about the bullying. You had kept that under wraps. It's not like it bothered you much, it was just annoying though. It would have been much easier if they hadn't existed, but if they'd ever thrown something at you, all you had to do was quirk the pain away and problem solved. From that day, you'd been careful not to overdo your quirk, though. You didn't want to risk getting the marks again, but sometimes you'd push that little bit too much, it would start to creep in. That's why you would opt to stay home if you were in pain. That way, if your skin did start to mottle and your hair did start to turn white, you could just hide in the safety of your house and not worry about what people thought of you. Shoji had never made mention of the mottled skin after seeing you that day. He knew you didn't like it when it happened, so would worry if he thought that you were using your quirk too much, in case you did start to mottle up and couldn't get away to hide until it settled down. I hope she doesn't overdo it today, he thought as he entered his own school grounds. Class 1 was your first exam period, and you tried to hold out from using your quirk as much as possible before actually needing it, but it was already getting difficult and you'd already used your quirk a lot that morning. Damn it. You grimaced as you shifted in your seat and tried to ease the pain by twisting your lower half. How many times have I used my quirk already? 8? 10? What's my max? I don't even know. I think it's something like 25, maybe more, you thought, as you tried to smile at the teacher who handed out the exam paper to you. After settling the paper down on your desk, you quickly pulled your school sleeve up a little bit to check your arm and make sure that there were no marks there. All was clear, so you relaxed a little. Okay, I'm still good, I think, you thought. The teacher at the front of the class made a comment about the exam, wished everyone luck, and then you were told that you could open your paper and start writing. Okay, time to quirk up and get this over with, you thought. 1 exam down, 2 to go. The timer started, you quirked, and then it was go time. All that day at school, Shoji was a little quiet and kept watching the time. He was already one of the more quiet students in the class, so it wasn't unusual, but the fact that he kept looking at the time had a few people a little concerned. Hey, Mina asked him as they sat in a circle in class, working on a group assignment. Earth Shoji, you okay? Sorry, he said as he looked from the clock back to the group. I have to leave school a little earlier today. I'm just watching the time. We don't finish for another 2 hours, though, Mina laughed with amusement. How early? Do you have an appointment? Something like that, he said with a shrug. She eyed him. Her T radar was beeping. The hours were slowly ticking by, and you had lost count of how many times you'd quirked yourself. The pain was intense this month, and you quirked again and then quickly finished the final 2 pages of your second exam. Getting up, you walked to the front of the room to hand your paper in, but as you passed one of the mean girls, she stuck her foot out and you tripped on it, crashing to the ground and making the loudest noise in the middle of the deathly silent hall. A ripple of confusion whipped through the students there, and all eyes were on you. You could then hear some snickers and giggling and ignored them as best you could, as you got up and kept your head down, bending to pick up your papers. Quiet, please, the teacher called into the hall, and everyone settled down again. Keeping your mouth glued shut, you walked to the teacher's desk and placed the papers down and mumbled a "thank you" before turning to walk back and get your things, aiming for a different aisle to walk down this time. Yin, the teacher whispered as you turned to go. Are you okay? Did you bruise yourself? You looked back at them and then looked down when you saw them looking down at your leg and saw the telltale signs of quirk overuse marking down the right side of your leg. The giant red veins sprawled across the outside of your right knee and up your thigh, the blue mottling starting already. Oh, crap, you hissed internally. I'm fine, you said quickly as you turned to go. Ew, freak, you heard the nasty girl who had tripped you hiss, and you kept your head down and ran to your desk, grabbed your things, and then ran to the closest exit door and out into the hallway outside. Thankfully, the hall was empty because everyone else was in the exam hall or in a class, so you bolted for the girls' toilets and ran in to look at yourself in the mirror. Slamming your pencil case down on the side of the bathroom sink, you gripped the basin and looked up into the mirror. Mottling had started across your forehead and a little across the bridge of your nose. Your sclera had also started to turn a funny grey colour now too. Oh, no, you screeched internally. I can't use my quirk anymore, or this will get worse. And I still have 1 more exam to do. The rest of the day seemed to go painfully slowly for Shoji, who was watching the minute hand like a hawk. Finally, it was 15 minutes till final bell, and he stood up. He had already notified the English teacher, present Mike, that he was leaving early, and he nodded to the teacher before turning and heading for the back door of the classroom. As he walked out, Mina, who had been out to the bathroom, stepped in. "Oh, you going?" she asked as he stepped out past her. "Yes," he replied to her with his mouth on his limb. "Good luck with your appointment," she said, hoping he would reply and give her some more info. "I'm meeting someone," he replied vaguely. "Okay, have fun," she said, then paused as she watched him go. "Wait, is it a girl?" she called out after him, but he didn't reply to her desperate question. Final exam. School jumper on and pulled up as much as possible, your hair brushed out so that it covered most of your face as possible, and you were 20 minutes from the end of the exam, and in extreme pain. You weren't used to dealing with this much pain. Usually you just quirked yourself, so having the cramping be this debilitating had you sweating and panting something serious. Come on, just finish, just do as best you can, you coached yourself. Then you can go. Just get yourself out of here. The minutes ticked by slowly, and then finally the teacher called for pens down, and you dropped yours onto the desk and let your head flop onto your paper and your arms clutch around your middle. You groaned internally. The teacher then made some closing remarks and said you were all free to go once you'd handed your final paper in. You still had your head down, but you heard everyone get up and start filing to the front, so started to mentally prepare to do the same. But as you went to lift your head, something slammed into the back of it so that your forehead hit the desk with force. "Oops, sorry," you heard a very unapologetic voice say, followed by some snickering, and you just lay still. "Just let me die," you thought, as you remained there with a now throbbing head to add to the pain. You waited until the noises around you started to die down, and then you grabbed for your paper and stood straight up, walking with your head down to the front, plopping your paper down in front of the teacher, and then turning around and walking back to your desk. Every movement was torture, but you just needed to get out of there. It didn't matter how you got out, as long as you got out. Grabbing your pencil case, you headed for the exit and stepped out. There were people around you, all heading to their lockers and such, so you didn't really pay attention to who was there until you were slammed in the right-hand side of your body and stumbled to your left, smacking into the locker there heavily. "Oops," the same voice as before called. "Maybe you need to watch out for yourself, freak. You need to keep out of my way." You slumped against the locker and closed your eyes, pain rippling through your uterus, forehead, and now left shoulder that you had dislocated as a 10-year-old. "Leave me alone," you whispered internally. Suddenly you were grabbed by the hair. Well, it's not looking great. It's gone from worst to the worst. Stay tuned for next week, part 4. I'll see you then.